Hello and welcome. My name is Nate from Video Games Recon, and as per usual we're going to be recapping this week's popular culture and gaming news that I find interesting and think you will too. Please keep in mind this video was recorded either early Friday evening or Saturday morning on UK time, so some important news could be missing and that this video will be posted most likely on a Saturday or Sunday. Anywho, enough jibber jabber, without any further ado, let's do it to it. Okay, before we get into the gaming news, I'm going to touch on this whole malarkey of YouTube being a tyrannical, money-hungry censor. So, what did YouTube fuck up this time? Well, on this occasion we'll be discussing the possible censorship and definite demonetization of content deemed unadvertiser friendly. This debacle seems to have hit the mass consciousness when popular YouTuber Philip DeFranco made a video discussing how a number of his videos have been demonetized for discussing controversial issues due to the seemingly new terms of service guidelines. Originally he thought it might have been due to using profanity, but even though swearing is against the terms of service guideline and a potential reason for demonetization, it seems more likely to be the case that because he was reporting on controversial topics like rape and so on, his videos were affected, and thus sparked its own controversy on whether this, again seemingly new move, which we'll get into in a minute, is a form of censorship, as you can still upload controversial subjects for all to see and those videos won't get removed or suspended, thus technically not censorship. Now, that may well be the case for the big players on YouTube who have other revenue streams like sponsorship deals, Patreon, merchandise and so on. Thus this move doesn't impact them so badly. However, in my opinion, the vague and all-encompassing guidelines are a stranglehold on the new and upcoming YouTubers who want to report on news issues and make more mature content. So, as far as I'm concerned, this is a form of censorship by another name, and a move to water down content so as YouTube can look after its financial overlords instead of the people who make the majority of the content. Cause, you know, why have some of the money when you can have it all? Here's the thing though, this supposed new terms of service isn't in fact new at all. It's potentially been happening for months, if not years, without YouTube actually telling anybody. H3H3 was one of the first channels to make a video discussing this. Well worth a watch if you haven't already. As per usual, links are in the description. On a side note though, if they try and enforce the inappropriate language guideline, I'm fucked because I swear and curse all the time. You know, because I'm a rational human being who doesn't believe curse words have some sort of magical power that instantly renders anyone listening to them a degenerate. But fuck, what do I know? My only option would be to spend hours scrubbing through my footage and putting bleeps like this in, cause that's not annoying or anything. Or alternatively, I could just not give a fuck as I make a pittance from YouTube anyway, and if necessary I could always make a Patreon account or something. Anywho, as YouTube is the worst at communicating, it just keeps dropping clangers out of nowhere that yet again fucks up everybody's day. Mark my words YouTube, one day there will be a direct competitor to your service, and all this bad blood you've courted over the years is going to come back and bite you in the ass, when you expect all the creators you've continually burnt over the years to be loyal to your platform. Anywho, rant over, let's get into the gaming stuff. PlayStation Plus's September games lineup has been announced, starting with Amnesia Memories on Vita, Prince of Persia The Forgotten Sands and Datura on PS3, and Lords of the Fallen and Journey on PS4, with Badland being on all current platforms. A pretty great lineup this month. Well, with the price increase in North America, they really had to show the value proposition of PlayStation Plus. Personally, I'm stoked for Journey, heard good things about it and have been toying with the idea of buying it for a while now. Hopefully, my expectations aren't too high and it will deliver. The Battlefield beta has been out there in the wild, and although I'm not a big Battlefield guy, only ever clocking up maybe 5 or 6 hours on multiplayer within the whole franchise in my entire life, so it's hard for me to be objective and say how it stacks up against other games in the series, but I messed about with it a bit, and although not massively blown away, pun always intended, I had a bunch of fun. And the only personal gripe that may just be a standard for the series is when I'm prone and sniping, my bullets keep hitting the ground, even though I have ample clearance. And the only downers I'm hearing from other people are about the medic class being gimped and some douchebags who have been watching way too much Mr. Robot who have been hitting EA servers really hard with a DDoS attack, knocking out the beaters amongst other EA games. If these guys had a point like tackling a real social injustice or something, I wouldn't be too salty, but it seems just like they're doing it because they can, and they don't like people having fun. Although Final Fantasy 15 has been delayed till late November, maybe a free-to-play version of one of its mini-games on iOS and Android will tide you over till its release. No? Yeah, me either. That said, if you're bored and want to play a pinball RPG hybrid game, then this might burn through a few hours for you. Or if you've got more money than sense, you could always buy a shit ton of microtransactions and burn through your wallet instead. Whatever floats your boat. Recently, EA's studio boss has been discussing a new intellectual property again that's expected to be a big game for the publisher, and is set to be announced in the near future, coming from developer Bioware, most famous for games like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, and will be under development in the same studio that Mass Effect is being worked on. Not much to go on, but definitely one to keep an ear out for with such pedigree surrounding it. CD Projekt Red, makers of the Witcher series, are scouting for staffs to fill various roles around vehicle mechanics and concept art, leading many to believe that this corresponds to their upcoming and highly anticipated game Cyberpunk 2077. Although purely conjecture at this point, it does seem highly likely, as in The Witcher, you had your trusty steed to explore the vast landscape, and as this game is also set in a similar vein to The Witcher, it would make sense to have a vehicle, and it would be hard to imagine what other games they would need this expertise in, leaving people to come to a somewhat logical conclusion that this game will probably have some sort of vehicles, and cool future vehicles to boot. Ah yeah. In Konami Can't Do Anything Right news, the infamous Mission 51 that was cut from Metal Gear Solid 5 won't be featuring in the upcoming definitive edition of Metal Gear The Phantom Pain. Seriously, does no one at Pachinko Konami have any social awareness whatsoever? This right here is clearly an easy win. If they'd have put this in the game, not only would they have sold more copies, but would have also shut down a lot of negativity surrounding Metal Gear Survive, as they would now be talking about this, and even if people were still talking about said game, they might see a glimmer of hope that someone at Pachinko Konami gets it. But no, it is quite clear they're either absolutely clueless or couldn't give a solitary fuck. We have a bunch of new 3DS announcements coming our way thanks to a Nintendo Direct on September 1st. Aside from a bunch of DLC and Amiibo announcements, we also got news on games coming our way in the near future, such as Pikmin, Mario Sports Superstars, Picross 3D Round 2, Super Mario Maker and Yoshi's Woolly World. Some potentially stellar titles there. I mean Pikmin, Yoshi, Mario Maker, all top class titles. The only downsides are little in the way of announcements for Wii U and obviously NX. Dragon Quest VIII has been delayed, and that Mario Maker only supports a local sharing of maps which, unless you're big into building the levels as opposed to just playing them, could stifle the game somewhat. Announced at PAX, the new and third series of Telltale's The Walking Dead premieres this November and will be set a few years in the future, and will feature protagonist Clementine and a new character Javier, both of whom are playable. The executive producer of the game goes on to explain how part of Javier's role as a character is to unravel the mystery of who Clementine has become in the subsequent years since you've last seen her. Although no specific release date, much for fans to get excited about, as episode 1 is only a couple of months away. And thanks to Call of Duty's special event, we have a bunch of Infinite Warfare news, if anybody still gives a fuck. Personally, even though the Modern Warfare remaster looks great and the zombies mode has piqued my curiosity, I think I'll wait till it's cheap unless the reviews are off the scale. Anywho, First up, a bunch of Infinite Warfare multiplayer gameplay has been released out into the wild for all to see, and although it looks interesting, I'm not sure what to think of it. Kinda looks good, but not great, and some of the loadout mechanics seem interesting, one of which being craftable weapons that appear to give off a Destiny vibe that have distinct features and perks. Sounds cool. Well, at least till they ruin it with microtransactions anyway. However, if like me you're still unsure on Infinite Warfare, there will be an open beta on October 14th for us all to give a go and form our own opinions on the gameplay. Following on from Black Ops 3, this seems to be a trend. However, this is something that this game really needs, and not only that, it needs to impress, as the reception so far has been lukewarm at best. Although the Modern Warfare remaster was only announced to come with 10 maps, Activision have discussed at Call of Duty XP how the other 6 maps will become available in December. Hopefully they have the good sense not to charge for this, as they need as much goodwill as they can get right now. And lastly, a Call of Duty VR game called Jackal Assault, which will be based around a vehicle that can fly and fight both like an aeroplane and in space like, well, a spaceship. Pretty cool if you plan on getting a VR headset and are starving for content. Otherwise, not really a game changer. So, that was my recap of the week's gaming news or points of interest. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff I'll miss each week, so feel free to post anything you're into that I missed in the comments section for discussion. Anywho, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe for more BS of a similar nature. Thank you and goodbye.